الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين أما بعد فقد قال جل وعلا بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كذبت قوم لوط المرسلين إذ قال لهم أخوهم لوط ألا تتقون إني لكم رسول أمين صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين Alhamdulillah ثم Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps giving us more and more opportunities to fulfill our obligations. If we were to set out to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would not be able to fulfill our thanks. We send our salutations upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who becomes the means of the guidance for this entire ummah. And we hope that this ummah becomes the means of guidance for the entire humanity, inshallah. Continuing from our discussion from last week, where we discussed the premise that our deen is based upon fitrah. And we established, and from our ayat and ahadith, that the fitrah is our deen. Whatever ahkam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rules Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us in Islam, they are in fact the fitrah. So when we say that we are submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are fulfilling those aspects of the fitrah which Allah has given to us when He made our takhliq, our creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His entire time in the history, as the prophets came about, He continued to provide guidance for every nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave us the examples of those nations that came before. Many a time we feel that bygone be bygone, meaning those are olden times, the time of Sayyiduna Adam alayhi salam, when the issue and the turmoil of Habil and Qabil is mentioned. We feel like, oh, okay, that was way back early and it cannot happen now. Whereas we know for sure the animosity in between brothers can be there. We know that it can reach to the limits of such distrust and such level of animosity that a person's disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could push a person to take life of his own brother. We've seen those incidents in our time as well. It is not that it was in the ummah of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. No, it is also prevalent. Which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps on giving us these reminders filled in the Quran in multiple different areas, so that we may reflect upon them and we may learn from them. Unfortunately, many of us have lost opening up the Quran or reading it to learn, to acquire lessons from it for our current times. Because of that, we face the same turmoils, same issues, only wrapped up in a different garment. And we feel that, oh, it is something new. Quran has not given us any guidance about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given us any kind of injunction or rulings about these things. And then we ask the ulama, why don't you address these new issues that are coming up? Whereas there are not new issues. They have been discussed. They have been given to you as a reminder, so you can take lessons from them, not for your own self, but for your family and securing the lives of your own family. Today, inshallah, we are going to try and read through a passage from the Quran, trying to understand with the same understanding that we have presented last week, that these immoral and unholy desires and the temptations that come to rest in our hearts, that can become a means of our raising of the daraja if only we were to submit ourselves to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and move away from those immoral desires. These same immoral desires, they are not something new concoction of this world. Rather, it was there in the time of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, And I want to highlight, don't only look at the translation, look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is relaying the message to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَذَّبَتْ قَوْمُ لُوطٍ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions first and foremost the bara'ah of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam. That he was not the one in the wrong. No. He is not the target of immorality. No. كَذَّبَتْ قَوْمُ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that his nation, the people he was sent to give his guidance and give his injunctions, that nation, they belied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They rejected the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the guidance of Allah. كَذَّبَتْ قَوْمُ لُوطٍ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Whereas Lut, who was he? From the Mursaleen. He was from among the Rasuls, among the messengers. So he is scot-free. He stood firm on his conviction of his belief. He maintained the advice and the guidance which Allah had given to him. It was the nation that belied him. The people around them that belied him. We understand from this that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala realizes that many a times the people who will be sent to different nations, the leaders or the reminders that they will be giving, they will be on haqq. They will be rightly guided. But the actions of the people around them, they may be incorrect. They are not taking heed from the lesson that Allah wishes to impart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about this now, and He says, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ لُوطٌ أَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. A hint towards last khutbah as well. What did we say the fitrah was? It was a means towards gaining that taqwa, Allah consciousness. Right? So Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam is reminding his people what statement that he gave that was so blazingly contrary to his nation at that time. He said to his people that don't you fear Allah, don't you have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't you have consciousness that Allah is your Rabb, don't you realize that you have been created, have you forgotten that? That's the first thing that he mentions to his people. And then he mentions, Inni lakum rasulun ameen. I have been sent to you, or I am to you, Rasulun, a messenger, Ameen, trustworthy one. I am not going to have any misfooting. I am not going to mince my words. I'm not going to become like diplomatic and compromising in the message that Allah has given me to send to you. I'm not going to do that. Have you forgotten your own Allah? Have you forgotten your Rabb who has created you? Are you not from the muttaqoon that can fear or have conscience of Allah? If you remember that you have a Rabb, then فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونَ. Then have taqwa of Allah, fear Allah, وَأَطِيعُونَ, and follow His guidance, follow His injunctions. Taqwa will not come to anybody but just by sitting and saying that I am very muttaqi, I am very subservient to Allah. No. Ati'un, make ita'at towards it. Make active action towards accepting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's injunctions and carrying them out. Because over here, the addressee was the nation of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam. And they had put themselves into an action that was completely against the hukam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam is telling them that you must follow the injunctions of Allah, which means you must abandon what you are doing. What you are doing right now, you know what wretchedness and what immoral thing it is. So move away from that and you follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear Allah, have taqwa of Allah and follow Him. Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam he wants to highlight to them that I don't have any stake in any of this. The action that you are doing, the deeds, immoral deeds that you are fulfilling, all these things, I don't have any stake in it. Meaning, وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ. Am I asking you people to pay me for something? Am I taking your grant? Am I taking your money? That I am going to say what you want me to say? Oh my people, I am messenger from Allah, I am trustworthy. So I am going to tell you what Allah is telling me. Right? So, I don't take any money from you. I don't make my earning from you or you that I have to protect your thoughts and desires. وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ, I don't ask you عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ, upon this any kind of money or any kind of reward. إِنْ أَجْرِيَ إِلَّا عَلَى رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I have already said, my ajr, my reward is not even in this world. My ajr is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? What's the maximum you are going to do? You're going to grab me, you're going to kill me, you're going to take me away. This life is finishing anyway. My ajr is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I will get whatever I deserve from my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In effect, Sayyiduna Lūt is also telling, keep in mind that your ajr is also by Allah. It may not be the positive one. Right? So either it's going to be ajr or it's going to be azab. So if you don't have any ajr by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how convinced and convinced I am about the issue that my ajr is with Allah, I am taking you head on and I am speaking in front of you. Know that you have to pay for your actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So be mindful. Go back. Fattaqu Allaha wa ati'un. Fear Allah and follow Him instead. Right? Otherwise, you only reward that you are looking for yourself after this world finishes is what? Is azab, is punishment. Right? Very, very explicit and open ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lays it down in the Quran. Up until now, in these wordings, we have not been told what was the problem. What was that disobedience, that fahashi, that glaring sin that these people of the Lūt alayhi salam, they were involved in? That's not been mentioned. So what happens is, some of the contemporary people who want to pick and choose and things like that, they mention like, no. His people, they were actually, they used to do a lot of fraud in their dealings and everything. Right? So it had nothing to do with their immoral desires of man wanting to go towards man, or a man approaching another woman from the wrong end or anything like that. No, it had nothing to do with that. And believe me, normally these members, we try to shy away from explicitly discussing these issues, because there is some respect involved in the member of Rasulullah. But when the onslaught and the attacks are coming right into our deen, right into our steps, right? Imagine if you are sitting in your home and someone is attacking into your home, trying to steal something from you. Aren't you going to defend yourself? So our deen is being targeted in this particular manner. We have to mention what our deen actually suggests. Just like Sayyiduna Lūt is not mincing his words, we have to try not to mince our words as well. So this is why today a little bit more explicitness, inshallah. Did Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam explain what was that fahashi? What was that sinful activity that his people were so involved in that he wanted them to stop, and that's the injunction Allah had put upon him? The ayah continues. This is Surah Shu'ara, by the way, towards ayat of 166, around there area. So Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam says, Ata'tuna, do you approach? Ata'tuna dhukrana min al-alamin. Do you, address is for the male folks, do you look after and approach other males from among the people? Obviously, what is it referring to? Approach them for what? To do transactions? Right? To have tea party? To discuss? No. For immoral activities. For the illicit desires that their hearts were bubbling them to do. So they say, no, we don't want to think about Allah, because sin depresses me. If I know that I am committing a sin, no, I feel depression and everything. I become tense. So I'm not going to think about it. Liberate myself from these thoughts and everything. No. I am approaching the other men's folk just to fulfill my desire. After all, I'm a human. All the desires of the humans are generally acceptable. So what's wrong with it? Same thing, same thought mentality. أَتَأْتُونَ الذُّكْرَانَ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. Do you approach other people, other men folk, to fulfill your own immoral desires? وَتَذَرُونَ مَا خَلَقَ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ. And you leave away those whom Allah has created for you, مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ, from among your spouses, from your own spouses. Now, this is an indication that going towards the men was for what you normally get from your spouse. That is your intimacy. Right? So, to fulfill your intimacy, instead of going to your spouse, do you like to go towards men folk? بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ عَادُونَ. Rather, you are a nation who are transgressing. عَادُونَ, have traversed beyond its bounds. My dear respected brothers, Tafsir Tabari mentions another qira'ah over here. وَذُكِرَ أَنَّ ذَلِكَ فِي قِرَاءَةِ عبد الله ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه وَتَذَرُونَ مَا أَصْلَحَ لَكُمْ. Right? Over here it was وَتَذَرُونَ مَا خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, what Allah has created. On the Tafsir Tabari it says, another narration mentions وَتَذَرُونَ مَا أَصْلَحَ, what Allah has made appropriate. Right? So many people say like, oh, the Quran only talks about gays, men. Right? It doesn't discuss anything with regards to the other spectrum of LGBT, right? So here another narration is mentioning what is appropriate. So from this, the Mufassirun have mentioned that this prohibition, that this vile action that is being mentioned of the Qawm of Lut, includes the action which will be from men towards other men, men towards other women out of their wedlock, men towards their women out of the correct place of intimacy. And similarly, women towards women, men towards animals, men towards anything else which is not appropriate for them. Anything. And when over here it mentioned azwajikum, the spouses, normally its translation is done as wives because the previous addressee is men. So the Mufassirun also explained, if it is to be equally applied to all the spectrum of male and female, then it does not matter whether male or female. So all the L, G, B and T we discussed last week, by the way. Where shaitan, he pushes us to change the takhliq of Allah. Right? The T comes in there. If you want more definitions of what LGBTs are, you can come meet me. We can have a full session separately, inshallah, about those. But here, maqsad is to understand the crux of the whole issue, how Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam was trying to fulfill the duty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how he was being responded to from the people. Because everything, if you start thinking about it, it is just reflective of what's happening around us. Everything. So, he said the fahisha and the immoral activity that you are doing is all of this, that you are going away from what Allah created you towards. Allah created you so that you can have progeny, you can have children. Remember those old days, right? My son got married, so the mother is always asking, when will you bring the grandchildren? When will the grandchildren will come to the family, right? That was the purpose, that you have progeny. But all of these activities have nothing in them, no progeny left in them. Instead, you will find hysterical things, that a person would like to transfer himself from man into woman, and then he would say, I identify as the man, so and I'm going to find a woman who has transferred into a man, and still they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it incorrectly. So they want to do the haram, right? But they want to make all the names around it frivolous. The indication has not finished here yet. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in his time as well, as we say, be gone, be bygone, old ummahs, old rules, right? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in his ummah, he mentions with regards to the action of the Qawm Lut, this is mentioned in al-Mustadrak Imam Hakim, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ مَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلَ قَوْمِ لُوط, that Allah has cursed anyone who does the action of the Qawm Lut. Right? So in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there must be some in the outer boundaries, some people who would be falling into this, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is admonishing it, that Allah has cursed this action. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentioned as a caution, as a warning for all of us. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, Sunan Tirmizi hadith, inna akhwafa, the most frightening, or the thing that frightens me the most, inna akhwafa ma akhafu, the most frightening things from the things that frightens me is ala ummati amalu qawmi Lūt, that my ummah is going to engage in the action of the people of the Lūt. Right? Which means Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was informed that this temptation is going to become rife somewhere down the line as well, that we will be faced with it. Our purpose is not to incite any hatred here. Our purpose is to secure our iman. Our purpose is to save ourselves, save our families from misunderstanding our deen and our fitrah and going over to something else. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in one hadith, mentioned in Shu'ab al-Iman, arba'atun, four people, yusbihuna fi ghadabillah wa yumsuna fi sakhatillah, or yumsuna fi ghadabillah wa yusbihuna fi sakhatillah. Four people are such that they wake up in the morning in such that Allah is upset and angry at them, or they spend the evening in such a way that Allah becomes angry and displeased with them. There is a doubt among the Rawi which one was first, the morning or the evening. Sahaba says, who are they? Qila, who are these four people? Four people meaning four group of people. People having four traits. Who are they? He said that al-mutashabbihuna min ar-rijali bin nisa, those men folk whom Allah has created as man and they want to emulate as a woman. Nowadays, the imposition in our environment and our education is our children will go into the school and they will have to sit in front of some drag queen. A man who wants to dress like a woman and who wants to act all this feminine and everything. Here, from within the sakhat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْمُتَشَبِّهَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ بِالرِّجَالِ, and those women folk who want to emulate and act like men. Allah has created on certain takhliq and you want to change yourself or you want to behave in a certain manner. وَالَّذِي يَأْتِي الْبَهِيمَ, those who approach animals for their intimate desires. Right? Up until now, at least from the legal sense, the laws around you still consider it to be illegal. Right? When the other things are becoming permissible, soon down the line, with the fahashi and vulgarity as it's flowing through, this will also become permissible. Because they're going to say, who is there to, who is taking away rights of anybody? It's an animal. Right? So, what's the problem if you approach an animal? Here, this will also come. May Allah Ta'ala protect us, may Allah protect our families and everyone from these kind of impositions. And I don't say inclusion, I say imposition. Right? Because the inclusion is a farce, it's a lie that is being sown into our heads. And last one is وَالَّذِي يَأْتِي الرَّجُلَ, and the one who a man who approaches another man to fulfill his shahwat and desires, to fulfill his intimacy. As I mentioned before, this is indicative of all the actions that are within the Qawm Lūt. May Allah protect us from all of that. My dear respected brothers, this is an indication. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that my ummah needs this guidance from his time, that he should not be following suit through this. How did the Qawm Lūt, the nation of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam, how did they reply? He obviously gave them the good guidance of what Allah is asking them to do. What did they say? Qalu, they said, La in lam tantahi. Oh Lūt, if you do not stop. Right? We know you are giving us your guidance, but stop. Don't tell us anything. If you don't stop, La in lam tantahi ya Lūt, latakunanna minal mukhrajin. Then surely you will be from among the exiled people. Meaning, we are going to kick you out. Want me to give you a contemporary translation for this? O Lūt, if you do not stop saying what you are saying, if you do not stop judging us, or you do not stop telling us that what we are doing is wrong, we will cancel you. Right? We will cancel you in the culture and nobody will be following you now. This is what happens now. Somebody says, I don't care what you do in your home, but my deen says this. Right? Suddenly, cancel culture will come and cross out everything that you have done. It does not matter if you spend last 40 years trying to do good in the world. You are cancelled now. Right? This is what they said. We will exile you. We will not take you as the good Samaritan and the good community leader among us. We will exile you out. This is what Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam was facing then. This is what our ummah, anyone who dares to stand up and say, no, we do not follow the same agenda, we do not follow the same ideology, or we do not consider the ideology of LGBTQ to be the correct or right ideology. Anyone who says that, he stands a chance of being cancelled and exiled on this issue as well. Right? The thing is, Alhamdulillah, Canadian law still gives us the ability and that freedom that we can have. Only thing is, we need a little bit of a backbone for that. Right? We need backbone for that. We continue. After Nabi Lūt alayhi salam is mentioned this, that, you're going to be cancelled. Nobody's going to come to you. All your followers on your Instagram and all your followers on your Twitter and everything are going to go away. Right? You lose your viewership and everything. Nobody's going to listen to you. What does Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam has to respond to the people? He says, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُمْ مِنَ الْقَالِينَ. Indeed, myself, I am, with regards to the action that you do, O my nation, I am disgusted. Qaleen. 2 times the word comes in the Quran. Right? Is from Qaf Lam Ya, Qala. I am disgusted, displeased. I am severely annoyed from what you do. This is after them threatening him that he will be exiled. That, oh my nation, I am a Rasul of Allah. I am coming as a messenger of Allah. I am not coming as a small fry. Right? Your exile and your this, it does not fright me. So your action is absolutely disgusting to me. Absolutely disgusting to me. This is the issue. Even now, when we say that our stance is firm, all these issues of LGBTQ and all this, now there are much more. Right? If you sometimes listen to our own Prime Minister, he gives all the alphabets as well. Right? 2S LGBTQ plus I and all those things. Right? So, no matter what the case may be, if you happen to have a standard that you do not consider it to be a valid stance, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. All you have to do is you have to make sure that you are not being violent about it. Nobody wants violence about it. Right? You want to make sure that we do not impose any kind of harm on the others, but we maintain our strength and our standard. This is exactly what Sayyidina Lūt alayhi salam did. After he mentioned to them openly, clearly, that I'm disgusted by this action of yours, he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he makes a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbi najjini wa ahli mimma ya'malun. Oh Allah, protect me and my family from the actions that they do. All the fahashi and everything that they do, protect me and my family from that. We all know the incident from the incident of Sayyiduna Lūt, what happened afterwards, how the entire city was lifted and flipped upside down because of that. Right? But here is the thing, and this is inshallah the final conclusion. Here is the thing. Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam, being standing firm on his ground, he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, protect me and my family. Every one of us who are listening right now, you have yourself to protect and you have your family to protect. If your children are being subjected to these kind of thoughts, if your children are being sent into areas where this kind of inclusion is being imposed upon them, they say our children, the schools are such that no, we only give about 5 minutes of activity to show communal harmony and everything. But why don't you show this communal harmony for all the other types of people? Why only this group of LGBT? There are many things that you consider as valid. You say the people who take interest, right? All the riba eating people and everyone, you say like it's completely fine. It's a right to do it. We say it's completely haram to do it. It's a disgusted action of consuming interest, right? So why not give 5 minutes for that as well? This is why we say this is a systemic imposition. The entire educational system is be systemically taken into custody to inject all these things into the people. And if we say we don't want to be part of it, then automatically we are labeled as mukhrajeen, right? Worthy of being cancelled, worthy of being exiled. You have hatred towards this. No, we just don't want to involve into it. We have, alhamdulillah, a masjid right over here, and there is a pub and a bar right across from us. How many of our musallis go there to put some kind of lashing or anything like that? None. There is no indication anywhere that we do anything like that. We continue to live our life with our religion. We continue to strive for being the best embodiment of a normal citizen that we are. So if we can do that, we can do the same thing with the LGBTQ. You do whatever you want to do in your home. Just don't come and throw it down our throats like that. Nabi Lūt alayhi salam, he made this dua. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala response to that was فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ, that we saved him and his entire family. We saved him as in his entire family. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes an istisna, the exception over there, إِلَّا عَجُوزًا فِي الْغَابِرِينَ, except for that old woman that was left behind. Didn't even give respect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not even give respect to that old woman. Right? Illa ajuzan fil ghabirin, that old woman, that lesbian. Who was that? Wife of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam. Because she became soft. She became compromised on her standing, and she started to go towards inclusion. No, allow it. These are people. No problem. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an exception. The Mufassirun have mentioned here that a Rasul is embodiment of truth. So anyone who does not follow what the Rasul has brought from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is not considered from the same family. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, we saved your entire family except for that one, because you think, since she was your wife, you may think that, oh, she is my family, but no, she was not your family. She is not your family. We saved everyone part of your family. My dear respected brothers, our situation falls into this last category sometimes. We say, let's not rock the boat. Let's not say something. Let's not be so vocal about it. Let's just live and let live continue going like this. Yes, live and let live. But they are not letting you live. They are not letting you live. You can look into the incidents that are happening. Today, I just read about Ottawa, where the school has made the announcement that every student within their school is going to be considered as they and them by pronouns. Imposed. Right? Just before, while preparing for this, I read that. Subhanallah, and there is a right now a protest going on about it as well. My respected brothers, if we open our ears and we see what's happening around us, is it not sufficient for us to find out ways of securing ourselves and our children from about all of these impositions that are being built upon us? There are alternatives. Look for the homeschoolings. Look for all the alternate ways where you can provide the secure environment for your children to study. Similarly, increase your study circle within your homes. Start doing those study circles. Start connecting those relationships with your children, that the children are not even willing to talk to their parents. We are losing out our generation because of this. If this was to happen in other spheres of our life, I'm telling you, person would say, I don't want to go to work. I need to first save my family. I don't care about what's happening outside. I will endure hunger, and I will face hunger in my home, but I need to make sure my family is safe and secure. That kind of a fikr, that kind of a yearning has to come into our heads. That is how far this has gone now. We ask only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep us steadfast to make us understand what is the correct path that we need to follow. In the footstep of Sayyiduna Lūt alayhi salam, we seek only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and our families. We only ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He maintains the ahwal around us, that we don't need to go towards any kind of other physical activities. We don't need to, but if we have to, adopt the ones that are non-harming to the others, adopt the ones that are politically correct ones, so that you can actually approach. Why not we approach all those individuals when these elections were going on and everything? Everybody's coming out to our door. Oh, give me votes, give me votes. Let's go to them people and say, this is what we want, this is why we gave you the vote. Now secure our rights of securing our children. Why don't we make them answerable for that? We need to. When the elections things come, normally they come and ask me like, oh, who do you want to vote? I say like, for me it's not a matter of who or what. Ask the person, what is he going to do for our people? Actually, factually, what is he going to do? Not just verbal diarrhea and speaking on things which will never materialize. And once you find those people who are actually going there and doing something, then he has my vote. It doesn't matter which party he will belong to. He has to preserve our deen. He has to be able to preserve our ethos and our culture and our mindset and our families, which we are really, really afraid of as we see the changes coming into them. May Allah save us. May Allah protect us. And may Allah keep us steadfast on our deen. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. And I apologize for taking too long.